Hello and welcome to Age-Friendly Maple Grove's Zoom interview series. I'm Chuck Schwalbe, your host. Age-Friendly Maple Grove is a community-driven initiative to make Maple Grove a better place to grow older. Good day, Chuck Schwalbe here with Age-Friendly Maple Grove Zoom interview. And happy to introduce Deb Stock to everybody today. She is the Alzheimer's Association Volunteer Community Educator. She's also the Caregiver Support Group facilitator, and not if she doesn't have enough hats, she's also the Maple Grove Memory Care Coordinator. So welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you, and we're looking forward to having discussion more along the lines of caregiver support. And that's, I guess, really the first thing is, what is an Alzheimer's caregiver support group?
Thanks for asking that question. Would love to answer it for you. What it is the intent is for loved ones around the person who's been diagnosed with dementia of whatever form. Alzheimer's is the most common form, of which there's almost 6 million people affected in the United States. And the intent is to have caregivers come together and talk about some of their trials, tribulations, challenges, and in general, just support one another. It's not an easy road to walk down. And so it gives them an opportunity once a month. In my case, some caregiving support groups meet twice a month, but for me, both groups meet once a month. So it's that opportunity to come together.
So with the situation we're in right now, with caregivers as well as people that are, afflicted with Alzheimer's, we're not getting together as much, obviously. Who attends the support groups? Who participates in these support groups?
Currently, most of the participants are spouses of somebody who's been diagnosed with the disease. There are some adult children who are supporting their parents and/or a grandparent, but most often it's the spouse who's living with the person. But additionally, there are those loved ones who the person with the disease is in a care facility, which, as you mentioned, given the current pandemic, creates its own set of challenges, because for most memory care units, outside people cannot come in unless they've been established as an essential caregiver who previously provided direct care to that individual with the disease. But it's one of those situations where, things have changed, that now they're coming together via phone or Zoom to get that supportive environment.
Yeah. So what's the format? Now, you talked about a monthly meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the format of that meeting, and how can people get involved with it?
Well, it's listed on the Alzheimer's Association website. And if a person searches for support groups, they could find that. Certainly within Maple Grove, Liz Faust at the Senior Center has the contact information, and she can direct them. So most of the time, I have to add that caveat in there. Most of the time, an individual finds out about the support group and then they call me directly. And interestingly enough, in the last week, I've had 4 people reach out to find out more about the caregivers support group. But so they reach out, then I provide them either with the phone dial-in information for the second Wednesday of the month group or the Zoom login information, and then they can join. And once they join, there's not a set format per se, other than, okay, we established the ground rules, people introduce themselves, but then it's primarily what's been happening in the last month that either, again, was a challenge or a triumph or something that's changed that they want to talk about with the group. So it's not like a step-by-step agenda. It free flows depending on the people's interests that month.
Okay, so that is really talking about that experience level that they're having with their loved one or whoever it is they're dealing with, and that's what they're really sharing, is what they've learned or what they've experienced. Is that kind of what's happening?
That is accurate, yes.
And by sharing that, I would imagine that helps to fortify other people and give other people some strength and some ideas, maybe some ways of doing things differently that they didn't think about. So it kind of helps everybody.
Absolutely. And sometimes because the disease overall of dementia can be very isolating, I think it's very helpful for people to realize that, oh, someone else is being challenged to get their loved one to take a shower.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one who's having that battle. So that sharing can be supportive. It also, they can let their hair down, so to speak, because they realize that the other people in the support group understand what they're talking about. Sometimes if they were to share the same comment or the same experience with an adult child, for example, then there's pushback as if, you don't know what you're talking about. But yet when you're the direct caregiver, you do understand what that other person is talking about.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And I have personal experience. My father-in-law spent 3 years with us with dementia, and I understand exactly what you're saying, because there was days where you just you had to talk to someone else, and you had to have that support around you. And we used a lot of family members, and it was very helpful as we went through that. And I think that having this kind of support for others has got to help them get through every day, because it is a difficult
Absolutely.
challenge.
Absolutely. The one thing that I have noticed is that during the pandemic, the participation in support groups has dropped off significantly. And having talked with some of my members to find out why, more than anything, the in-person support groups was also that chance to be out of the house, the home environment, away from the person with the disease for a short period of time. Maybe if it was a female, she had a chance to dress up and put lipstick on, for example. Or maybe it was an opportunity to have lunch with some buddies after. And now when there's not that social, I mean, it's still social if it's phone or Zoom, but when there's not that opportunity to leave the home, it seems as if fewer people are participating. Plus, when you're talking by phone or on Zoom, if the person with the disease is close by, then they're wondering, who are you talking to?
Right.
What are you saying about me? And a bit of the paranoia, which can be typical with the disease, comes through. So it's not
Right.
quite that same escape that
Right.
it was when it was in person.
Is there a way of I shouldn't ask it this way, but is there a way of actually doing some group group things, now that we've kind of gone a little bit further down the road with 6 foot and it's being 6 feet apart, distancing, and then putting masks on and having an outdoor session, so to speak? Is that something that has been thought of in helping people to cope with it?
Oh, Chuck, I so wish that could happen. I so wish that could happen. The Alzheimer's Association has taken the stand that because we serve a vulnerable population, that it is not in the best interest of us as an association or of the people that we serve to come together. And yes, prior to the cold weather setting in, I would have loved to meet with people in an open park situation, but not recommended.
Okay. Now, the last question I had was, what are the benefits of participating in a caregiver group? I think we've covered some of them, but are there other things that, and even in a Zoom call situation or a telephone call or something like that, where I can definitely understand the situation where you're in the home, close by, or even proximity wise that someone could hear you. But what are the real, what can people get out of it, so that, if we want to direct people after this call to call you or to call Liz or someone and get on, participate in this, what are some of those added benefits for participating in any way, form at this point?
Great question to clarify. Again, I think that the main thing is that to realize that the caregiver is not alone. Additionally, to take that time as a caregiver to interact with some people who understand and to get that support. Caregiving can be incredibly stressful. And all too often, the care provider ends up having a health crisis while taking care of the person with dementia. And it's just that release valve. It's that opportunity to maybe let off a little steam, talk openly about the challenges. So the network, the support, just feeling heard about their individual challenges, I think is the overall biggest benefit. And then additionally, depending on what's coming across my desk, I share some information, educational information with the members that may help them better understand the stages of Alzheimer's, or different ways to communicate with the person, back to the shower challenge, different methods that you can use to convince the person to take a shower. So it's also an informational sharing.
So what would be the best way for someone, if they were interested right now, to get to participate? Who would they call? Would they call you?
They certainly could.
And
My
your
phone
phone
number,
number? Yeah,
my
go ahead.
phone number is 612-940-4468. 612-940-4468.
Okay, and we're going to also put that at the end of the show so that people can write it down and make sure they give a call to you. And you also mentioned Liz at the community center. That'd
Correct.
be another place. Okay, well, we'll make sure we get both of those on there. I want to just thank you so much for your time, Deb. It's been very good information. I'm really hoping that people will take it to heart, and those people that are out there working on a day-to-day basis with different people with Alzheimer's or dementia will respond, and hopefully we can drive those numbers back up in the group to have people participate in a different way.
Absolutely. That'd be outstanding for me, as well as clearly for any of the people who join, to know
Absolutely.
that people who are dealing with that challenge of somebody with dementia, that there are resources they can turn to.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. And thank you for watching. And we'll look forward to seeing you the next time we do the Age-Friendly Maple Grove Zoom interview. And thank you. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
The City of Maple Grove is a member of the World Health Organization and AARP, network of age-friendly states and communities. Since 2016, we have been working on a variety of issues to make sure that older residents can live active, purposeful lives in our city.